Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of this Washington Nationals franchise. If you didn't watch episode 1, I highly suggest you go back and do. It gives a nice intro to the series, it's going to lay the foundation for all of our storylines and our goals, it's going to give you all the context you need. For the second episode, obviously the big thing is opening day, but before we get there, we first need to do a couple things. We need to recap spring training, we're going to talk about some spring training stats, really look at the roster, who impressed, who didn't, set our final lineups and our final pitching rotations, and then we should be good to go. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So quick TLDR on spring training, it was pretty mid from us. I think we went around 10 and 15, but I feel like we got a good gauge on players. Who's regular season ready, who needs some time to tune up. So let's first start with highlighting the overachievers. So the first thing I want to say here is I need to apologize to CJ Abrams, because I barely mentioned him in the intro. But this guy impressed me during spring training. I think he batted leadoff against righties and was like in the 6 or 7 hole against lefties. But man, I feel like whatever game I played, whatever he was doing, whether it was on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball, he was just always delivering. Little pokes to the infield, maybe a diving catch here, just showing good range, good arm. Again, I can't stop gushing about this guy. I think the big thing about him was he batted .357 against lefties. I believe he has like 42 contact or something. I really couldn't have asked for a better spring training from him. I think the only thing I could say is I wish he showed a bit more power. That's just not in his tool set. We were projecting him to be an everyday shortstop for us, and I really feel like he delivered. I'm super excited to see how he grows this season. Now, we covered Lane Thomas quite a bit in the first episode, and something we said is we didn't know if he'd be a part of this rebuild timeline because he's already 27 and his bat needs to still develop quite a bit against righties. But what I can say is he had a pretty good spring training. He showed me that he could be a viable option in the middle of the lineup, maybe clean up if he gets a bit better. But he started off spring training hot, like high 380s hot. And then he cooled down, now he's low 300s, so we're hoping that once the regular season hits, he finds his groove again and starts crushing the ball. Now, the only thing that's still a bit worrying with him is that he didn't bat great against righties, still only hitting .244. However, I'll admit, this could be a bit on the user. For some reason, whenever I played with him, I just couldn't get any highlights, I couldn't get any hits, I couldn't do anything. I don't even know if you guys realize, but there wasn't a ton of highlights for him in the intro just because I couldn't get any hits. I think I played 6 or 7 player lock games with him and nothing happened. So let's hope that he can be a sim demon for us, or that he develops, or I just figure out his swing. But overall, I was pretty happy with the spring training performance, and hoping he keeps it up going into the regular season. Now, a player who truly surprised me was starting pitcher Jackson Rutledge. This guy came out of nowhere, and the first thing that stood out to me was his .66 ERA and his .8 WHIP. And I know it was only 13 innings of work, but that's still a good sign from a 24-year-old pitcher. When you look at his stats, they're pretty average. Even some being below average with that really low walk per 9. So spoiler alert, he'll still be starting the year at the minors in AAA, but he's definitely a pitcher we'll be monitoring and we'll be keeping our eye on a little bit closer than I thought we would. So the last 2 players I want to highlight for performing well in spring training are starting pitchers Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray. Both these guys are currently battling for an ace position this year, and they definitely didn't disappoint. Mackenzie Gore led the team in strikeouts and had a sub 1.3 WHIP, while Josiah Gray had a sub 2 ERA and actually the same exact WHIP as Gore at 1.28. Gray also only finished with 2 less strikeouts than Gore for the team lead. Both these guys are still very young and still have a ton of developing to do before they're true aces, but I was very proud of their spring training performances, and I'm hoping that they keep that momentum going for the regular season. We won't reveal who won the ace position yet, but we're going to talk about that real soon. Now to talk about the players that didn't impress me during spring training. And the first would be exciting 20-year-old prospect James Wood, who we learned is just not ready for the MLB yet. You could see his stats, but he only batted at 160 and he led the team in strikeouts. He just didn't look comfortable at the plate at all. He'll be starting the year in AAA, and we really have no incentive to rush him if we aren't playing well. We'll be seeing him again this season in some prospect profile episodes, but don't expect him to get the call anytime soon, with the absolute earliest being the September call if he's raking in the minors. So this one was pretty surprising, but Heimer Candelario had a pretty bad spring training. He only batted 127 while being tied for the most at-bats on the team, so we can't say it was a sample size issue. This veteran switch hitter was supposed to be our 4th to 5th best bat, and now he might play himself out of the lineup. I'm hoping this was just a fluky spring training from him, and he turns it around, because we don't have much MLB-ready talent to replace him if need be. Now this may come as a non-surprise with that deep potential to most of you, but at only 25, I had false hope in Mason Thompson. But man, his spring training wasn't pretty. In reality, it wasn't that bad. It was a pretty small sample size, but but still that ERA isn't great, with 8 earned runs given up in 15 innings and almost 2 home runs given up per 9. I'm guessing the more he would have played, the worse his stats would have been. And the award for the worst performance in spring training has got to go to Trevor Williams. I mean, there's not much to be said about this one. Williams was projected to be our 3rd best pitcher, but his spring training has me questioning how long he'll be in our rotation. Highest ERA, lowest WAR, you name a pitching stat, and he was probably near the bottom. As I've already said for some other guys, I'm really hoping this was just a fluky spring training for him because we just don't have the pitching depth to replace him. So now that we're officially done with spring training, here's what the MLB roster is looking like. The first section I want to dive into is our pitching, and talk specifically about who won our ace competition. Do you have any final guesses? It was a very, very close competition, but Josiah Gray is going to be our ace for the year. But their stats being so close, the main reason I chose Gray is that he has more big league starts. I think he has 28 compared to Gore's 13. When there's almost nothing separating 2 players you need to choose from, I always opt for picking the one with more experience, hoping that those extra reps help them in those crunch time situations. I'm hoping that those extra starts help Gray transition smoothly into a solid ace for us. Here's what the rest of the rotation looks like. Gore's obviously in that 2nd spot after a close ace competition. Espino, who was projected to be our 4th pitcher, is now our 3rd after Trevor Williams did not play well in spring training. So Espino's 3rd, Trevor Williams is 4th, and then to round out the rotation, I put in an arm that I honestly didn't really talk about a lot, but it's Chad Kuhl. And then like I mentioned in the previous episode, our bullpen is pretty atrocious. But if we can get into situations where we need to close out games, we should be able to do that because our best bullpen arms are in those positions, in the closing and setup roles. What really scares me is the middle relievers and those middle innings. If you're going to highlight one position that's going to lose us a lot of games, it's definitely going to be those guys, unless we decide to beef this up later in the season. And here's a look at our final lineups for the year. So we'll have Abrams batting 1, Thomas 2, Meneses 3, Ruiz 4, Vargas 5, Robles 6, down 7, Candelario 8, and Smith 9. And then looking at the lefty lineup, we'll have Robles 1, Chavis 2, Thomas 3, Meneses 4, Ruiz 5, Call 6, Abrams 7, down 8, and Candelario in that 9 hole. So let's talk about one of the most unexpected everyday players for us, Jeter Downs. He's getting this opportunity because Luis Garcia broke his hand in spring training, and he's going to be out for 2 months. It's an interesting opportunity for Jeter. He's basically getting 2 months to prove himself, and if he could play at the big league level. He's fun, he's young, he's 24, see potential only, but again, he's still a fun player. He didn't play too bad in spring training. I thought he hit okay, and his defense wasn't bad either. I think he could play second, he could play third, he could play shortstop. So it's going to be exciting to see him get this opportunity and see if he proves himself at a big league level. All right, it's finally time for opening day, and we get to do it in front of the home crowd. However, it's against a very tough Atlanta Braves team. I actually love that we're going against the Braves for opening day because they're following a very similar process to what I want our Nationals team to do. The Braves are known for signing their young talent to these long-term deals pretty early in their career. It's obviously a risk, but when it pays off big. Now they have guys like Strider and Acuna, and even recently Harris, guys who are superstars or budding superstars on these lower contracts. I think this is a strategy I want to try with the Nationals. I think it's one of the best ways to build up your team, and if you're good at drafting and good at identifying talent in your organization, it's one of the best ways to rebuild a team. Now look at the Braves. They've already won a World Series, and their core is locked up for the foreseeable future. When we think back about the goal of this franchise, it's stability, and the Braves are a poster child of that. But enough talking over menus, it's finally time to get into some opening day action. So I know I said in the previous episode that opening day would be live commentary, but I lied. I thought of a new idea, and I'm calling in a friend to help. So enjoy opening day, and enjoy the first episode of Natty Lights. As Kai said, welcome to the first episode of Natty Lights. My name is Guy, and this is going to be your hub for all things Nationals franchise highlights. Let me tell you, Jets out, Suns out, guns out. See if our Nats can flex their way to a victory over this tough Braves team. The kid's on the mound, Josiah Gray. He won a tough ace competition during spring training, and he looked good. Last year, 28 starts, 7.10 record, 5.02 ERA with a 1.36 whip. Nationals are hoping that he brings that ERA down and really shows that he's a true ace. And let me tell you, this kid started off hot. Let's hop in top first. I don't think you can start off your year any better than going 1-2-3 against this tough Braves lineup, as that first circle change was nasty, striking out Harris. Then you have Grisham flying out to Lane, Thomas in center, and then Acuna, that guy who sends balls to orbit, Just a little floater to CJ Abrams. Hey, get used to that kid's face. You're going to see him real soon. Spencer Strider on the mound for the Braves. Their ace in 2023 NL Cy Young favorite. Ignore all the stats. The only thing that matters is that stash. It's beautiful. Let's hop in. Bottom first. Hear the crack of this bat. CJ Abrams. I told you see more of that kid's face. Easy double for him. I mean, let's look at this hit again. It was just beautiful. Times it up perfectly. I mean, this kid's only, what, 22? And he's timing up NL Cy Young favorites like this? Nat's got a bright future with this one. A little bit of a tense moment later in the inning as Strider lets a pitch get away from him and it smacks Vargas in the elbow. Ugh, that one hurts. But it gives the Nats their first bases loaded opportunity of the season. Can they take advantage? Robles! Yeah, no, they can't. This can't be an omen for the rest of the game though, right? Right? Top in, top second, and Gray still dealing. Look at this nasty knuckle curve against Olsen. Olsen saying that's nasty. Gray's like, I know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Same spot, why not? Next batter, Osuna. Ooh, gives that one a ride. Gray's clenching, but Robles gets on his tippy toes against the wall and saves it. Woo! Gray can breathe a sigh of relief after that one. A little bit of a serious moment here in the bottom of the second. Dominic Smith hits a ball and it deflects weird. And everybody's like, who'd that hit? Well, it obviously didn't hit Smith because he didn't even react. It didn't hit Murphy because he didn't react. So it had to hit the blue right in the face, and ump takes a deflected foul ball off his face mask, and yeah, that one hurts. He'd be okay, he just needed a second to recover. You know what really hurts though? Let's hop in top three and listen in. Hear the crack of the bat from Sean Murphy on this hit. Yeah, out of here. No doubt about it. Turns out when you throw a breaking pitch and it doesn't break, it kind of just floats. And MLB hitters feast on those. As let's see the StatCast stats here. 388 with that 1026 exit velo. But you know what hurts even more than that? Back-to-back jacks. This time Arcia. Hanging slider from Gray gets crushed in the same spot. Hey, some kid has 2 souvenirs on opening day. Pretty good day for him though. But after that hot start, Gray cools down, has a tough inning. But maybe 3 just isn't his number, because in the next inning, he gets back-to-back Ks. First one against Olsen on a beautiful inside fastball. Why you mad? Just hit the baseball. Next batter, Osuna, caught looking at that slider as Gray recovered nicely after those 2 home runs. Top 5 here, and hey, turns out Orlando Arcia is a pretty good baseball player as he takes this ball and shoots it up the gap. Vargas can't cut it off, so it'll be an easy double for Arcia standing up. And hey, let me tell you, he started off the year scotching. 4 for 4 Nats. Could not stop him. But next batter, Gray recovers. Nice low slider against Ozzie Albies. Catches him digging for gold. And look at this frame job by Ruiz on this next pitch. Inside fastball. Harris couldn't believe it. Kind of looking at the ump like, really? But I mean, Ruiz, he just knows how to sell him. Look at this shot right here. Nice inside fastball. Ruiz sells it, no emotion, as that ball just kisses the zone. Bottom 5 here, and as you notice, Nationals haven't had many hitting highlights, and that's because before this point, they only had 1 hit. Candelario, a nice hit up the middle, trying to hype up the team, trying to get them going, but let me tell you, Strider was on one today. At this point, he was probably just on autopilot as we see the stats here. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks. He's like, all right, I give another hit. It's time to lean up in the gaming chair and shut these boys down. Top 6, Josiah Gray, still on the mound. He's had a pretty good outing up to this point as he throws a beautiful low and away circle change to make Austin Riley look silly. That was Gray's 8th K of the day. And the thing that was frustrating about his start was the inconsistencies. Some of his breaking balls looked really good, others looked really bad. But the very next batter and our play of the game, let's listen in and see what happened.
Swing and a drive. That's walloped deep left. Marcel.
No doubt about it, Osuna sends a 3-run shot into the stands. That kid might have 3 souvenirs at this point, because all 3 home runs that were given up by the Nats went into the same exact spot. Gray knows he's getting pulled. Osuna's doing his little dancey dance. Braves are having fun on opening day, and that's scary for the league. As we look at the StatCast numbers on this one, beautiful moonshot, 374, 98.5 exit velo. With the game now blown open, Patrick Corbin gets inserted in the game from the bullpen, and let me tell you, Nats fans are hoping that he's just a glimmer of what he used to be, but it didn't start off too hot with Arcia barreling him up for his 3rd hit of the game, and Corbin has got to be looking to the sky saying, what happened to me? But next batter here, Albies, little chopper, but downs, thinks there's 2 outs, it's only 1 kid, throw it to first and secure the inning. Bottom of the 8th here, Nationals trying to manufacture any sort of offense, and Heimer Candelario is doing his part. with a nice hit, one hopper off the wall, stand-up double. Candelario was the only Nationals player to record multiple hits today, and only one of two to record a hit. The only other one, CJ Abrams, who had that double in the first, gets a swinging bunt, sends the guy from third. It's a fielder's choice RBI for CJ Abrams, and the crowd haven't had much to cheer for all day. They're definitely going to cheer for that. As Strider gets taken out since the shutout is over, and McHugh gets put in and shuts out the Nationals the rest of the inning. Top 9 here, Braves do respond to that one run as Corbin gives up a hit to Michael Harris to center field. Lane Thomas going to try to get out the runner from home. Thomas to Downs to Ruiz. Nah, he's safe, but let's run it back. Let's try it again here. Corbin gives up another hit, this time to Ronald Acuna Jr. Robles cuts it off before it hits the corner. This time, Robles to Abrams to Ruiz, and they gun him down, baby. However, this play did not spark a 6-run bottom of the 9th rally for the Nationals as Vargas, the final opportunity, good contact, but he flies out to the right fielder, and the Braves get a comfortable 7-1 win opening day over the Nationals. Spencer Strider, your player of the game, with 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 4 Ks. 3 different Braves hit a home run this game, and the Nationals only had a total of 3 hits. They've got to find some offense this year. In other league news, the A's stun the Angels on opening day. Verlander pitches an opening day gem, and DeGrom struggles against the Phillies. I need to go cry myself to sleep after that game. This has been Guy, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode of Natty Lights. All right, I'm back. Hopefully you enjoyed Guy and the first episode of Natty Lights, even though we got destroyed by the Braves, only getting 3 hits. So that'll be the main way I show off highlights in this series. I'm not the best at live commentary, so I thought bringing in Guy would make those games a lot more entertaining. However, for more important games, I might consider live commentary. We'll see. But back to the performance of the team, there's not much to be said. I mean, we've got to hit the ball. We only had 2 people hit the ball, and we only had 3 hits all day. That's the first thing we got to improve on. Because we're not going to win any games if we keep hitting the ball like that all year. If I'm going to praise this team anywhere, it's on the pitching. And I know what you're saying, but they gave up 7 runs. But if you looked at Gray's start, it wasn't bad. 8 strikeouts, had a pretty good control of the mound, looked comfortable out there, and out of the 70 to 80 pitches he threw, maybe 10 of them were bad. It's just those 10 were really bad. And then those became 3 home runs. So overall, I think Gray still has a lot of developing to do, but I was pretty happy with his opening day start. So looking ahead at April, we're going to see highlights from 3 main series. The first one is going to be against the Rockies, because they're a team that's also going through a rebuild, and it's always fun to play at Coors. We're then going to have some highlights from the Orioles series, because they're a young team that's on the up and coming, and also similar to the Braves, we can look at their rebuild process a little bit, and see if we can steal any strategies for our own. And then towards the end of the month, we will play against the divisional rival New York Mets. Main reason, because they're a divisional rival, they spend triple our budget. I think it'd be a good test to see how far we've come in a month, from opening day against the Braves to towards the end of the month in April against the Mets. Thank you for tuning into episode 2. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you like the video, sub, comment, do all the things. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure you leave feedback for me. I'm always looking on ways to improve. But next time you see this team, we'll be battling against the Rockies at Coors Field and hopefully get a series win. Until next time.